Welcome to the Attention Now podcast. Today, we have Tim Parkhurst on the show. Tim, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you here today. Thank you for being here, and I'm excited for our audience to learn about your history and your current mission.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah,
Looking forward
it's
to it.
great to meet you, brother. I'm going to give you a quick introduction here. Parkhurst is a retired U.S. Marine Corps Master Sergeant, entrepreneur, and the president of Marine Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation, the only organization committed to preserving the over 105-year legacy and honoring the ultimate sacrifice of Marine Scout snipers. Tim served as Scout Sniper NCO, shaped his entire career embedding the value of precision, discipline, and calm under pressure. Being a Scout Sniper isn't about pulling the trigger, it's about knowing when not to. Tim didn't just serve, he became a quiet professional every sniper strives to be. Let's get started. Anything you want to add to that, Tim, before we start?
No, you pretty well covered it. I'm nobody, man, but
You're
I'm
nobody.
here to I'm here to illuminate those who came before us and left a legacy. The kind of the giants on whose shoulders we stand.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to talk
I don't
about.
know if I told you this or not when we spoke on the phone last week, but I had a Navy SEAL on not too long ago, and a lot of people would say, "Hey, you know what? You're a hero. We're really glad that you did what you did." And he was kind of the same way. It's like, "Hey, I'm not really anybody. It's not a big deal." And he thought about it a little bit later. He said, "Hey, you know what? If that person has it in their heart to tell me that I'm a hero, who am I to deny it, right?" But he also said that we're all heroes because we all go through challenges in life, whether it's a divorce, whether it's lose your job, and whatever the case is. So we're all struggling and fighting every day. So, but
Yeah,
thanks for being here. Tim,
thank
where
you.
did you grow up?
Everywhere. If people ask me that question, I tell them I'm the nowhere
When you were
man.
a kid, when you were a kid.
Yeah, everywhere.
Okay.
Literally 13 schools in 13 years.
Holy cow.
Yeah, born in Florida, only stuck around there for 6 weeks. Um, Ended up in high school in between South Carolina, Kansas City, and Texas for my high school years. Graduated
Okay.
from the Marine Military Academy in Texas. Uh, I'm kind of sort of from Overland Park, Kansas. It's where I enlisted in the Marine Corps. Went to MEPS at Kansas City MEPS.
Okay.
Yeah, just never stopped moving.
So did you move military family or what was the
Partly.
case?
Sure. Yeah, my dad was in the Navy. He was a naval aviator, but
Okay.
shortly after I was born, he transitioned from active to reserve and started flying for the airlines.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
so a little bit of both.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's kind of good and bad. I think there's pluses and minuses for that type of life,
Yeah.
but I think you're growing and learning to adjust and change, which is pretty
I
cool.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned military academy in Texas. Did you was that part of your high school or?
Yeah. Yeah. So I did 10th, 11th, and 12th grade at the Marine Military Academy in Harlingen, Texas. It's the
Okay.
only private military school patterned after the Marine Corps. And funny enough, for the 2016-17 school year, I actually went down there to be part of the military staff as a retired Marine.
Oh, wow.
Served as a drill instructor for Echo Company for the cadets. So I had 55 teenage boys living in the barracks with me that kept me busy for the school year.
Nice. That must have been a fun time. I can
It
only
was.
imagine.
It was.
And that obviously, since you went to academy, that's how you wound up wanting to join the Corps. Is that correct?
It was. Yeah. I wanted
Okay.
to be an architect growing up, and then something, a switch flipped when I was down there. I started reading different books about history and Marine Corps history, and I was surrounded by Marines and learning about the legacy and everything. And I was like, man, I want to be part of that. And there you
That's
go.
awesome. What book stuck out to you the most that you read when you were
Oh
younger?
gosh. Being I became a scout sniper eventually. The book about Carlos Hathcock,
Okay.
Marine sniper, 93 confirmed kills. But there's also some others. There's uh, Heart of Darkness. Can't remember the author's name, but it was about the war in the Pacific. There was quite a few books actually. I read a lot of history. Um, World War II in particular, because my dad was of that generation. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And were your parents on board for you joining?
Mm. They were ultimately supportive. I'm
Okay.
not sure that's the way they wanted me to go, but they were very supportive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big blessing that we have supporting parents. Yeah, mine were the same. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
you're supposed to go to college. What are you doing? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
something I want to do. And they had actually signed because I was only 17 when I joined, so
Yep.
that was pretty
Same
cool.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. And how many years did you serve, Tim?
I ended up doing a total of 25.
Okay,
Yeah, about 25 and a half actually, but yeah.
that's a
I had
great
some broken
career.
time. I spent some time in the reserves, but I did 25 towards a active duty retirement.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations and
Thanks.
thanks for serving. What was the most single valuable lesson you learned during your time in the Corps?
Um, don't believe your own hype. Um,
Okay.
and I say that as somebody who, when I was little, I remember there being debates between my parents and my teachers, who did very little to keep the discussion away from me, like seventh grade, eighth grade, talking about, well, Tim's too smart to be in this. He needs to be in this advanced program, whatever, and his IQ's off the charts, whatever, da 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 da. And somebody told me what my IQ was, and somebody told me that, Tim, you're too smart for this, and I believed it. And
Okay.
and there came a point in my life where I had to confront the reality that uh, IQ doesn't mean a damn thing, you know.
Right.
And just because somebody says you're smart, well, there's a lot of smart people out there, and there's a lot of people out there that have other qualities that trump smart all day long,
That's true. That's a good point.
and putting in the work, being persistent, being dedicated to whatever it is you're doing, those kinds of things. It's being willing to, another way to put that is being willing to question yourself, not in a negative sense, like, oh, what about this, what, always second guessing yourself, but being able to take a look in the mirror and legitimately say, am I going down the right path here, and is this really the right decision, and maybe I need to take that guy's advice, and a little bit of humility.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we're younger, it's hard to evaluate and look and see that.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to realize that?
A long time, brother. A long
Same here.
time. Yeah. I realized it at different points in my life, but it
Okay.
didn't really come home to roost until I was well into my career, near retirement, and I was forced to confront some personal issues, and that also uncovered some realizations about my professional life as a Marine. You know, hindsight's 2020. If I had to do over again, I'd do some things different for sure.
Right.
But yeah, it was a growing process for sure.
Yeah, I think we're always growing every day, right? And
Yeah,
that's an awesome point that always be learning and
yeah.
trying to grow yourself, which is a great point. What was the biggest personal challenge you faced while serving?
Hmm. Um, that's an interesting one. I think the most challenging thing, it wasn't really evident at first. Didn't really kind of show itself as a challenge until later on. So it's sort of the choices I made. I mentioned earlier about going back and forth from reserve to active. I had some broken time, things
Okay.
like that, and making those choices really complicated things for me.
Right.
When I came back in the Marine Corps after my broken time, I mean, I loved the Corps. That's why I came back. And when I came back, it was not the same Marine Corps that I had left.
Was it
And
not the same because you were doing a different job, or what was the case?
partly it was partly that I was not the same. Lots of things weren't. And
Okay.
I left the infantry as a sergeant. I came back to the logistics community as a lance corporal
Oh,
because
no
being
way.
out for so long, they bumped me down 2 stripes, and I did lance corporal,
Wow.
corporal, and sergeant twice.
Holy cow.
Administratively, I didn't get in trouble or anything. It's
Right,
just
right,
it
right.
was. And it was hard. It was really challenging to go through that and to be in some ways sidelined. In some ways, it was just my own false impression. Uh, but in other ways, there were people who literally um, who literally tried to sideline me because I'm a retread. I'm a dirty retread, you know.
Wow.
And it was difficult for me at times to determine who really felt that way and who I was kind of projecting that on them. Uh,
Okay.
and so that was hard. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's kind of amazing. It's always blown my mind that people that are going back in that they would demote them, right? It's like,
Yeah.
hey, thanks for coming back in. Is what you should be getting, like a good pat on the back, or people looking down on retreads. That I never understood that. It's like, hey, this guy wants to come back in, and he got out for a little bit, no big deal. What's the problem?
Well,
So
I understand the demotion part because, it's the needs of the Corps. You've been out for a while. They want to see what they're dealing with when you come back. I mean, are you the same guy or not? Um, what I wasn't prepared for was the attitudes that a few people had, a few
okay,
key people, people that I would have looked to as mentors.
right,
They weren't mentors. They they were actively making things hard, not just for me. We had a tremendous number of retreads in my MOS as a
okay,
parachute,
interesting.
and a lot of those guys were catching the same kind of flack, and it was just like, whew, man, just keep the blinders on, do what you're told to do every day, and way more so than any other Lance Corporal or Corporal running around, and just keep your head down and try not to bring up the topic.
Was that just immediately above your chain of command, or was it all the way up as well?
I mean, I would say at the section and platoon level,
Okay,
it's where it kind of manifested the most.
got it.
Um, you kind of saw it a little bit at higher levels. Seemed like every senior enlisted guy I ever ran into, first sergeant, sergeant major, seemed like that as soon as they find out you're a retread, it's like, oh, you know, my the detachment first sergeant at rigger school at Fort Lee, Virginia, when I went through rigger school, as soon as I reenlisted, I was in the reserves wearing sergeant chevrons in my dress blues, taking my reenlistment oath, and the RSCO, the major, he swore me in and congratulations. Now take those stripes off. You're out of uniform. You
Oh
know,
my gosh.
and I'm like, okay, no worries. And
Right,
then
right. Well,
but
you
the
knew what
next
you were
day,
signing up for. Yeah.
yeah, but the next day I'm in Fort Lee, Virginia, and the first sergeant at the detachment calls me in, on Monday because I checked in over the weekend, and somebody tells him that some Lance Corporal checked in with a bunch of ribbons. He probably didn't rate any of them, and he sat there and treated me like I was stolen valor or something. For like 30 minutes in his office. He had my
Wow.
SRB right in front of him.
Wow.
First sergeant, you never heard of a retread? I mean, but yeah, this is how it was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember those days. Trust me. Uh, so you were in infantry. How did you wind up becoming a scout sniper? Tell us that story, please.
Yeah, so that kind of the same way most guys do, I think. In the modern era, since sniper school opened at Quantico in 1977 after Vietnam, uh, scout snipers reside at the infantry battalion. There's a platoon of scout snipers. They used to call it a stay platoon, surveillance and target acquisition, and they changed the name to scout sniper platoon, but it's basically the same thing. Um, and so I got to 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. I was an infantryman. I was actually a dragon gunner in weapons company. And periodically, the state platoon would hold an indoc. And if you volunteered, you might get a chance to do this indoctrination course that lasts a week, a couple of weeks, whatever. It's not really a formal thing. And I did mine in 1990 in Okinawa, and I passed. And then as soon as we got off that deployment, they assigned me to the state platoon and waited a little while and got a chance to go to sniper school. And that's kind of how it happened.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And can you walk us through the training of becoming a scout sniper? How long is it? What's it entail?
Yeah, so when I went through sniper school, it was 11 weeks. It's always been somewhere around there.
Okay.
In the modern era, it's always been somewhere around 9, 10, 11 weeks, that ballpark. But it's funny because doing the historical preservation thing with the Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation, we learned some things about how Scout Sniper training really hasn't changed substantially in its essence since 1918, except for obvious accommodations for technology and things like that.
Right.
Some of the basic topics, obviously, long range precision marksmanship is kind of high on the list. stalking and individual movement, camouflage, cover concealment, kind of to a high degree that really nobody else in the Marine Corps gets that kind of instruction on individual movement. And basic field skills brought to a very, very high level, like techniques of observation, doing field sketches to record your observations, because we didn't have digital cameras back then. This
Right,
is
right.
this is the early 90s. That wasn't around. And so if you saw something and you wanted to send that to the CO, so he had awareness of what you're looking at forward of the friendly lines, you would have to draw it. And so we spent many hours field sketching, patrolling, mission planning, scout sniper employment, offensive and defensive employment, all these different kinds of things. So really, it was just sort of becoming brilliant in the basics. They expected you to have a firm foundation as an infantryman already, land navigation and the patrolling, but then they just built on that. And it's funny because those are the same exact things that they were teaching in 1918 at Quantico.
Wow.
In World War One, they guys were making ghillie suits, the
Yeah.
things that make you look like a bush. They were doing the long range marksmanship. They were doing field sketches. They were doing, techniques of observation, all those kinds of things. They weren't learning call for fire and all that kind of stuff, and they weren't learning how to do standard NATO format radio reports because
Right.
they didn't have radios. What they were doing is teaching them how to take notes, and then they would become a runner. So some member of the sniper team, once they got a piece of information, would become a runner and have to run that back to the rear to get it to the
Wow.
boss.
Holy cow.
So those are some of the accommodations for technology.
Yeah, so sniper school's been around for quite a while, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do most people pass that course?
No, it's always had a fairly high attrition rate. I think back in those days, probably it was more of a gentlemanly kind of a thing.
Like
Probably had very
when you went through it yourself?
yeah. When I went through my graduating class, I think we started with 50 something and graduated 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know
so,
they had that big of an attrition. Okay.
yeah,
I
pretty
thought it was
high.
going to be I thought it was going to be like 50%.
It depends. Different
Okay.
eras, different instructors that changed a lot over time.
Okay.
I mean, there's been a huge effort, especially in recent years during the OEF OIF timeframe. There was a big effort to try to reduce attrition but maintain the standard. And I think the guys at Quantico and East Coast, West Coast, I think they did a great job of balancing those two things. And they were having 70-80% graduation rates, which
Okay,
was
got
much
it.
better,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
still maintaining the standard.
I remember
Yeah,
when I went to the rifle range a couple times in Lejeune and see the guys walking around in the ghillie suits, which was kind of
yeah,
cool. It's pretty
yeah.
neat. Uh,
Smelling pretty ripe.
yeah. What was the hardest part for you?
Um, of school, gosh, I think stalking was really hard.
Okay.
Yeah, stalking was hard. I actually passed earlier. You do a series of stalks, and you have to get so many points. Each stalk's worth 10 points per stalk. But you had to score 3 10s in a row at some point.
Okay.
And somehow I got lucky and I did that fairly early on. So then all I had to do was just get my total points. And so by the time the last graded stock came around, I already had all the points I needed. And but it wasn't easy. That was for me. The thing I was most worried about was, man, am I going to pass stock?
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. You mentioned this a few minutes ago. You said that they actually got rid of the Scout Sniper program. Is that correct? The
Yeah,
Marine Corps
yeah.
just got rid of it?
And this is a recurring ththeme. So in 1918 we had sniper school, and as soon
Okay.
as armistice was signed, they got rid of it.
Interesting.
25 years later, 1942, they were talking about bringing it back. Of course, they at that time, the guys who were bringing it back, they didn't even really know anything about the World War I program. Some of those guys didn't even know it existed, but yet they were talking about the same things.
Wow.
And they did bring it back formally, and they had sniper school on the East Coast and West Coast during World War II. And they had a table of organization for a platoon of snipers at the regiment during the war. And then, of course, as soon as World War II was over, they got rid of it. And then Vietnam, they had them, and then they got rid of them. And then
Wow.
post Vietnam, 1977, the modern program begins. And that was the longest run we had from 77 all the way up through 2023. And then, true to form, peacetime Marine Corps, the Commandant made the decision to get rid of us. I'm not going to, sit and argue all the pros and cons of, why that was a good or a bad decision. It, from my perspective, it just is true to form.
Right,
And
exactly.
it's just history repeating itself.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
And
it's
if
all going
history,
to depend on whatever leadership thinks is right, right? So that's
yeah. And one of the things that we've always known, I think everybody that knows anything about Scout Snipers has always known is that we're the most cost-effective weapon on the battlefield,
right.
when it comes down to it. And when the bullets start to fly again, they'll bring us back. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I was wondering. It's like I wonder if technology had anything to do with it, with drones and stuff. That made a difference, you know?
There's some people who think that way, that technology somehow negates the need to have the guy on the ground doing that kind of work. I think technology, and I think a lot of people are beginning to realize that the technology actually necessitates having a guy like that on the ground. In fact, this drone technology, they were already positioning themselves pretty well. The commanding officers at SOI East and West were already, they already had the Unmanned Aerial Systems School at AITB, which is right next door to Scout Sniper School, and they were integrating their training. So before they disbanded Scout Snipers, those guys were the ones who knew the most about employing drones in the Marine
Interesting.
Corps, and
Yeah,
they got rid of them.
it seems like it would go hand in hand to me, but
You would think so, right?
I
Yeah,
could think some people. It's like, oh, wait, maybe we don't really need them because we got the drones. It's like, dude,
yeah,
it's like they complement each other. So
yeah.
we still have snipers in the Marine Corps, though, right?
There are snipers. Yeah, they're not Scout Snipers. There's a
Okay.
difference, and it's an important distinction. So the thing that's unique about Scout Snipers, besides the name, taking the word Scout and the word Sniper and putting them together to describe one man, that's something that really only the Marine Corps has ever done consistently.
Okay.
And what's really unique about us, though, is that we come from the infantry. The individual men are infantrymen first,
Got it.
and they are recruited from the infantry. They are in a platoon that's owned by the infantry.
Got it.
In my
Okay.
case, it was at the battalion level. Back in Vietnam, for the most part, it was at the regimental level. But they're owned by an infantry formation, right? Whereas, special operations, MARSOC, they don't even belong to the Marine Corps. They belong to SOCOM.
All right. Exactly.
And the recon snipers, while it's a great program and that's good for recon doesn't belong to the infantry either. I mean, they belong to divisions. So yeah, they belong to an infantry division, but they don't belong to the maneuver units. They don't belong
Yeah,
to
they're a
the
smaller
commands of the
scale, right?
regiments. Right. They take a
Right.
platoon and they get attached, to a MEU, and it's not the same. They don't own them,
Got it. Got it.
and they're not going to be there in the same numbers.
Exactly.
It's not
Okay.
the same skill set. It's not the same numbers, and the control is different. So we lost something when we got rid of Scout Snipers at the battalion.
Well, hopefully, hopefully history. Excuse me, one second. Hopefully, history will repeat itself, and they'll bring them back eventually, right?
Yeah, that's the hope.
Right. Right. So you actually served with Recon for a while, correct?
I did as a support guy. After my
Okay.
broken time, I became a parachute rigger, and I was fortunate to serve in a training role first. I was with the Airborne Mobile Training Team, teaching advanced parachuting skills, and then from there I went to Third Recon, deployed to Iraq with them, and then I went to Second Reconnaissance Battalion at Lejeune and deployed to Afghanistan with them, and then my final assignment was running the Paraloft at MARSOC. It
Okay.
was a Second Marine Special Operations Battalion at the time that owned the Paraloft, and then they transferred that from the battalion up to the Marine Raider Regiment. So that's where we were
That's awesome.
located.
So you traveled the world a little bit. Is there any missions that stand out to you that you think about still?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't see a whole lot of intense combat and stuff like that. Some
Right.
of these guys that fought in Fallujah and Nasiriyah and Marja and Sangin and things like that. They've got way more interesting stories. But here's kind of a throwback to the old days. Desert Storm, It's more funny than it is interest,
Okay. Yeah,
really
absolutely.
whatever. But so I was an assistant team leader. We had a four-man team, which was kind of new to us back then. Usually it was the two-man team concept for Scout Snipers. You had a shooter and observer.
Right.
But all this desert warfare back then was brand new, and operating in these open spaces, we started to see that, we kind of need to have larger teams to carry more stuff. And so we had a four-man team, and we were operating in the Al Wafra Forest area in Kuwait, and we were in an observation, a kind of a blocking position where we were looking back towards our friendly lines, and we had inserted the night before. And when the regiment, Fifth Meb, when they started moving forward, anybody they flushed out, we would see them, and we would direct our friendly forces onto the target. And so we're on this flat roof of a mud hut, and back then communication wasn't as good as it is today, and planning probably wasn't as good. And we made sure before we left that we had a no fire area around our observation post that we had selected on the map, and that the overlay for that was given to the folks at ops so
Okay.
that they could let the air and everybody else and already know that, hey, we have this little sniper team on the map on this spot. Don't shoot there, you know, and because we
They're not
we
the
weren't,
enemy. Yeah.
yeah, we weren't going to have direct communications with air, right?
Okay.
So um, anyway, the morning progresses. We're calling out targets. Things are happening, and we see that they have these Cobra and Huey gunship, hunter killer teams, kind of going back and forth across friendly lines looking for targets. And as they get closer and closer, this one pair of helicopters obviously sees us on the
Right.
roof, and they take evasive action, like we're the bad guy, and oh, if they have an RPG, let's get out of here quick. But then
Oh,
they
no.
circle around like they're going to make a gun run, and they come in like this, and we're like, holy crap. And so me and my team leader were on the roof. Our other two guys were off to the sides pulling security, and um, Adam, James Adams, my team leader, he yells
Okay.
down, "Hey, you guys scatter, go!" And he's like, "Man, we're not going to make it." And I was like, "What do we do?" And I had an American flag in my ruck, and I pulled it
Okay.
out, like just pulled it over me, and just laid there. And at the last second, I'm peeking over the flag, and I see um, the the Cobra peeled off, and then the Huey kind of peeled off, and I saw the door gunner, wave at us like that, and I'm like, God, my heart's like,
Oh my
and
gosh.
Adams is like on his knees praying to God, and we're all just like, this shouldn't be this, it shouldn't be this hard,
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
but
It's like I'm gonna be taken out by my own guys. No. Let's.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully
That's.
things have changed, and they're more better coordinated these days.
Yeah. It's hard to coordinate a lot of that stuff, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, we still hear that all the time. But I'm glad that was awesome that you had a flag in your pack.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, it was pretty cool. Just last minute thing. I whipped it out and put it out, and he's as soon as they saw the red, white, and blue, they peeled off and
That's
gave us
pretty
the thank
interesting. I've
yous.
never heard of anybody carrying a flag around in their pack, which is
Well, a lot of guys do that.
why did you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, lots of guys do. It's I mean, you're there fighting for God and country, and
Okay.
you want to have a little piece of home with you, and that flag was actually a gift from my family before I left, and
Oh wow,
yeah, still have it.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, Perfect. Let's get on to the next section here. What keeps you motivated and moving forward every single day?
My wife. Yeah,
Okay.
my wife and family for sure. My faith in God over the years has grown. I've always believed. If you asked me when I was a teenager, am I a believer? I would have said yeah. But
Right.
how that translates into um, actually, being a faithful man of God, I wouldn't have been able to tell you, back then. Um, but it's that's what really sustains me day to day is my faith, and the gift that my family is to me. But aside from that, those are things that I think everybody should appreciate in that way. But um, you know, as far as my vocation or whatever, I would say that just having this mission that we've taken on to honor our fallen. You know, I don't work for a living. I'm kind of semi-retired. I probably need to work, but I'm not.
Okay.
And but this is something that means a lot to me. It comes from here, and it's something that I look forward to making progress on every day. So yeah, it's and that was one of the things that during my broken time back in the 90s, I really struggled with, and I didn't know what it was. I had no idea why I was struggling.
What am
But
I missing? Right. Yeah.
yeah, it took me a decade to really put a name to it and to really kind of figure out what had happened during that 5 years I was out. And uh, I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know what my purpose was, and I was floundering. And looking back on it in hindsight, I would have failed miserably had I not had the opportunity to come back in the Marine Corps. So thank God for that, and God bless the Marine Corps for giving me a shot at continuing my career. And but I was just I didn't know who I was,
Right.
and I didn't have anything. I was brand new married, and I wasn't that good of a husband,
Okay.
and didn't have anybody around because my family was dispersed geographically,
Hmm.
so my dad wasn't close by. There wasn't anybody around that I saw daily that could challenge me on my behavior, or that I could go to and say, "Hey man, I'm really struggling with this," and it's kind of the story of my life where, and I spent a large part of my life justifying to myself my shortcomings because I didn't have somebody there to show me the ropes or to mentor me or whatever. When in reality, we talked about faith a little while ago. It's if we're a real Christian, right? I don't believe that there's a Christian and then there's these super Christians. I think there's just
Right.
a Christian,
Right. Exactly. Yep.
you either are or you aren't. And that's not for me to judge, but I know for myself, if I was really being a follower of Christ, I would be in God's word, and I would be taking the lessons that he has for me in there. I would be learning what Jesus, the example that he lived, um, so that I could emulate that. And I wasn't,
Right.
I believed, but I wasn't really living that out. And so I didn't have any mentors in the world, and I wasn't taking advantage of, the word of the living God, to help me through the basic life things. And so all of that was just not there for me, by my own design. And
Right.
so,
Exactly. And
I
I think a
suffered.
lot. I think I think you're not the only one, Tim. Right. I think a lot of younger people. It's like, hey, I've got this. I know what I'm doing. Right. I'm the man.
Yeah,
I just finished Marine Corps. I'm a Marine. I could do anything.
yeah,
Right. Which is great because that's what they want us to be proud and believe what we're doing. Right. But I think it's great words of wisdom to always have try to learn from others that have been around, right? Get a mentor, like you were mentioning, right?
yeah,
The gray hair that we're both getting, it's there for a reason, right?
yeah.
And
Yours is nicely blended, though, I gotta
yeah,
say.
yeah, it's still salt and pepper a little bit,
Yeah,
um, but looking back, it took me a while to actually have that relationship with God and Jesus, right?
yeah,
It was more. It's like, oh, you know what? And it's easy to get distracted because this world has so much stuff around us, right?
yeah,
It's like every
yeah,
day you get bombarded with all different things, work, family, whatever. But it's great to have that priority. And like you mentioned, it's great to live the way Jesus did. What did he do? He just all
yeah,
he could have had anything he wanted,
yeah,
right? He could have
yeah,
had anything. He could have done anything. What did he choose to do? He chose to serve and help others
yeah. All
daily.
things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. Yeah, he could have done anything, but
Right.
he did what he did because that was what was right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that that's why you have a heart yourself of serving, right? Helping others, right? Trying to emulate
Well,
that.
I I think God put that on me, and I'm grateful that He did because I think nothing that we have, nothing that we do, nothing that we are is from ourselves. I didn't come up with this. God did. And God put me in this place to do the things that I'm doing right now. I'm not saying I'm on a holy mission or anything like that, um, but any success we have in life, we can attribute to God's blessings. And you and I mentioned before we got on the show here, uh, about faith and about how people don't talk about it. Men don't talk about faith in
Right.
public places. Oh,
Exactly.
you don't talk about things in public. You don't talk about God, politics, and whatever.
Right.
Uh, that's a lie. That's a straight up lie. They call Satan the great deceiver, and I think that's one of the greatest deceptions of our age, for men in particular, that we don't talk about our faith with other men.
Right.
Um, and that's why so many men are floundering and uh, not remaining faithful disciples of Jesus because they're not talking with other faithful men and holding each other accountable on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's what Satan wants to do is divide us with that, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
that's a very good point. And another good point is making sure that we're serving every day, and that to me that's the greatest mission, right? That's the greatest mission we really need to do is focus on that, and that's why I love giving and helping others here on this show as well.
yeah.
And I mentioned to you I had met Rudy Reyes a couple years ago
Rudy, yeah,
out of Kansas City.
yeah,
Hopefully he'll be on here soon. He's supposed to be on a couple times, but he had to reschedule.
yeah,
But when I met him, I knew he was a Christian, and I go, Rudy, I know you're a recon Marine. You had some great missions, but now we got the greatest mission now.
yeah.
Is to help others, which is pretty cool. And he goes, yeah,
That's
man,
awesome.
with his personality, it's like, yeah, I get it, brother. So which is pretty cool. So, but yeah, I mean, and majority of people when they're younger, I wish I would have learned it younger. It would have changed my life dramatically.
Oh gosh,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So just some key words of advice. Try to get around them now, guys. How important is physical fitness and nutrition to you, Tim?
Very, very. Listen,
Okay.
the day I retired, my body started falling apart. Um, I was running Spartan races. I had a high first class PFT when I retired. I wasn't running a 300 because I hadn't run a 300, run time since boot camp, but
Okay.
it's always a struggle for me. But always had a high first class, and I going on conditioning hikes. A Marine Corps hump for me was nobody enjoys it when you're doing it, but when you get
Right.
done, the feeling that I got of accomplishment, I
Absolutely.
loved that. I
Right.
mean, it would destroy me, but I loved doing, you know, 10, 15, 20, 25 mile humps, with 60-pound rucks, and I loved it. And, but man, I retired and almost immediately my body started changing. Um, and I knew my back was trash because I had an MRI. Uh,
Okay.
our regimental surgeon had scheduled for me before I retired, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, your back's trash. You're
Oh,
gonna
lovely.
end up needing surgery soon, and this and that, and da 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 da." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Well, sure enough, I mean, fast forward, then over the next 5 years, I had five surgeries. I had
Oh,
one on each
wow.
shoulder, one on my low back for a discectomy, and then I had probably can't see it, but I had a four-level fusion in my neck.
Oh, wow.
And then they went back to the low back again and fused it because the discectomy didn't take the first go around.
Holy cow.
And that was just, kind of one after the other. And you never really, after a surgery, during your recovery time, your physical fitness just goes to the floor. And
Right.
you never quite get back to where you were. And then it goes down again. And then again, not quite back to where you were. And it's just like been this steady progression downward, for 11 years. And, I got to a point where I was afraid, uh, literally scared to death of doing anything strenuous because I thought I would hurt myself. And that fear just immobilized me.
Oh, man.
And I will tell you, anybody that's listening to this, don't let that happen. Even if all you can do is just run on an elliptical for 30 minutes a day, and maybe do a few push-ups or some squats or air squats or something. Just do something. You don't have to go do the big CrossFit workout that you did, 15 years ago. Do something. Keep your body moving. Stay flexible and just move. And it's been hard, man. Jumping out of airplanes, for all those years didn't help it either. A lot of minor injuries kind of compound over time.
Right.
Compaction of the spine and torquing things and stuff like that, and it all catches up with you
Oh, you
with
had
age.
a lot of wear and tear on your body all those years, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
it's like you got to pay the price sooner or later. How close are you back to or to being 100% now?
I'm there.
You're at 100% now?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome. Good
Yeah, I
job.
mean, I didn't even ask for it. Here's a funny story, and this is part of this whole transition discussion. All the stuff I put on my form when the disabled American veterans helped me with my package 6 months before I retired. I
Okay.
started talking to them, and I did not put anything mental health related on my list of complaints. Nothing. Uh,
Okay.
Everything was physical, and it was all stuff that I could show you documentation, shoulders, back, knees, whatever. And when the final rating came in, I mean, they gave me I think it was a 30% or something like that temporary rating.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
and then they waited. It was like almost 5 years later, they gave me my final rating, and it was 100% total and permanent.
Wow.
Um, and that, if you've ever received your paperwork from the VA for a rating evaluation, it's a thick packet, and it's like every little line item is addressed. And uh, there were claims that were denied outright that they say weren't service connected, like hearing and and things like that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then but everything that they gave me was 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. And it's VA math. It's not actual math.
Right,
So
exactly. It's not an actual 100%, right?
yeah, you could
Yeah.
get 30 different items that all say 10%, and that doesn't equal 300.
Right.
That equals maybe 30%, right? However their algorithm works. But at the end, they gave me 70% for PTSD and depression. And I didn't ask for that.
Interesting.
I I I mean, I had seen mental health, professionals. We actually had a psychologist at MARSOC when
Okay.
I was preparing to retire, and I was going to see him because like we talked about earlier, I had personal things that were coming to the forefront and realizations about my life that, man, I've been making some mistakes here, and I need to fix like my marriage, my attitude, things like that. And I wanted to get those things kind of back on an even keel before I left. And but it didn't have anything to do with PTSD. I've never seen any real intense combat or anything like that. Having that helicopter fly over and, momentarily threaten me is about the, most intense thing I've ever done, so I never made a claim like that, but yet the VA put that in there and gave me 70% for PTSD and depression.
Wow.
And I'll be very honest with you here. I am depressed sometimes.
Right.
I don't think it has anything to do with PTSD. Uh,
Okay.
I'm depressed at my own. I think if I were to put a fine point on it, it would be the realization that I've wasted so much time not being the man God called me to be, and my life has just passed me by, and so much opportunity has just slipped through my fingers, um, rather than making the most of it for God, and
Right.
being a better man that He intended me to be. Um, so there's regret,
Sure.
and that, along with bumps in the road with relationships and things like that can cause depressive episodes and that sort of thing. Um, I had a hard time really sussing that out, talking to the counselor and different things like that. And I've seen quite a few. I've actually seen probably half a dozen different psychiatrists and psychologists over the years talking about different things. And some of them will lead you down a path to make you
Yeah.
feel like you have some kind of disorder.
Right.
Um, and I don't think I do. I'll tell you that right now. I don't think I do. And but I was made to feel like I did
Right. Exactly. Yep.
by some of these people. And when I was still in Jacksonville, North Carolina, right after I retired, I went to the community-based outreach center for the VA to sign up for VA healthcare. At my initial appointment, when I checked in the waiting room, the guy checked his list, saw me on there, and reached back and picked up a bag that had my name written with a Sharpie on the outside of the bag, and he handed it to me. And I'm like, "What is this?" "Well, these are your meds." And I said, "Well, what are these meds for?" And he said, "These are your PTSD meds."
Right.
So I've never been diagnosed with PTSD, and no doctor from here has ever seen me. I'm here for my very initial appointment.
Right.
I've never been here before. How is it that any doctor in this facility can prescribe me
Without
these
even
meds?
seeing you. Wow.
Yeah, I tossed the thing back in his lap and walked out. I was like, I was, you have no idea how angry that made me because
I
I
can
heard
imagine.
stories about that before, and then it happened, and I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me.
Wow.
And but yeah, I mean, VA healthcare is what it is. Some places at some times it's really good.
Right.
Other places at other times it really is horrendous. So
And you know what? It comes down to whoever you're dealing with, right?
yes,
And we see that all over the place, whether it's the Marine Corps, whether it's the VA, whether it's corporate, where I worked at corporate before.
yeah,
You're going to see good people, bad people. So you always got to be an advocate for yourself and make sure you're listening to the right recommendations, the right advice, and not just take it as the gospel. If a doctor tells you, hey, you need to take these drugs, right? Do your
yeah,
research and make sure that you're doing the right thing that's for you. And the majority of the people that I've had on here have found other alternative sources besides those drugs.
yeah, absolutely.
I just had a psychiatrist on a week or two ago, and he recommended a whole bunch of different items that you could do.
Yeah,
But he actually worked for the VA, so he was part of that system for a while. And what he said, Dave, you know what, their arms are kind of tied. That's the only solution they have. That's all they can
yeah.
offer you, right? So if
Have you ever
you're
had Tim Jensen from Grunt Style on your show?
no, but that would be great to have him on. So
Yeah, Tim's a great guy. So
okay,
he's the Grunt Style brand, the
yeah, yeah,
t-shirt, all
absolutely,
that,
yeah,
right? So he's a Marine. He's a huge advocate for alternative medications, getting rid of the oxycodone and stuff like that, and getting people off um, the synthetic pharmaceuticals that they're pushing. And the last quarter century of experience, I think, has shown everybody pretty clearly that we're over medicating people for things that they really shouldn't even be on medication for.
one
It's
hundred percent, yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Just before I ask you the next question, we already talked a little bit about it, but I was going to wanted to back up a little bit about you talking about just connecting with God later in your life.
yeah,
I think that's awesome, right? The
yeah,
reason being is you're connected with them,
yeah, yeah.
right? Many
God's
people,
patient, right?
many people never connect with them, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, hey, they never get there, right? So thank God you're able to connect with them. Thank God we're
yeah,
going to be able to have a life after this, right? Because of
yeah.
that.
That's it.
So I would encourage you, dude, be excited about that, right?
Yeah,
Be excited. It doesn't matter when it happens, it happened, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah. In our humanness, we regret bad decisions and we regret lost opportunities.
right.
And so that's what I was kind of referring to there. But oh yeah, I'm
In
super
the long
excited to
run, it
be a
doesn't
child of
even
God.
matter. It's like a sliver in our lives,
Yeah,
right? Right.
exactly.
So,
Man, if I even get in by the skin of my teeth, I'm happy as long as I'm right.
so you didn't take the meds. What did you do to deal with the PTSD?
I mean, that was 2014. You know, I don't think I had PTSD. That's the thing
Okay.
I think I had plenty of issues.
Right.
There's no doubt about that, but I don't think it was really PTSD. And um, part of it was that, I was buying into the narrative that was being shoved down my throat that, if you do X amount of time in the military, whatever, and you go to the
Automatically.
VA,
Yeah.
you have PTSD. Of course you do. And of
Right.
course we should just give you this bag of meds. And that's crap. Um, it's not good medicine. It's malpractice. I mean,
Right.
the way they did that was just
Well, we,
straight up
we
malpractice.
see what kind of results we're getting with them giving them medication, which is
Not very good.
scary and life threatening, right?
Yes.
Which is really, really bad. So awesome.
Yeah. In 1 year, 2014, less than a year, because I retired in April of 2014.
Okay.
25 and a half or so years in the Marine Corps, 30 plus years around the Marine Corps. I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of people, not just combat, but training accidents. You know, guys who just died for different reasons suddenly, whatever. The list is long of men that I've lost, friends that I've lost, and in 1 year, I became aware of more suicides among people that I knew than people that I knew who had died or been killed throughout a quarter century
Holy
career.
cow. Wow.
More suicides
Hmm.
in the latter half of 2014. And it's just that's not, man, that's not sustainable. I mean,
No,
it's
it's
not
not.
sustainable for our society, for our veteran community. It's crazy. And I
Yeah.
don't know what the actual numbers are, nationwide, but they're big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
it's
I think
yeah,
I forget what they said a day, but I think it's more than whatever they're saying a day, which is
yeah,
unfortunately so. But yeah, thank God there's some people trying to go to the government to change some of that stuff, right, with
yeah,
alternatives. So
yeah,
which is good. So just keep praying that something goes through and they open their eyes because
yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure they're aware that it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's all they have. It's like this.
Big pharma's got to make the money. So,
Right, exactly, exactly. All right, so tell us all about Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation, Tim.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? What it's all about?
All
Just
right, here I'm getting on my soapbox now. So here we go. No, I appreciate the opportunity to tell your viewers about this. So
no,
this is my mission.
I think it's really
Yeah,
important because it's a small percentage of people, right? Like very small.
yeah. So I mean, depending on the time frame, the Marine Corps is pretty small. It's always been small. We've always been the smallest service. I don't know what we're at right now, but for most of my career, I think we were somewhere in the 175,000 to 200,000 total manning level. That's a very small service,
Right,
and the few, the proud. That's us, right? And
exactly.
within the Marine Corps, the focus of the Marine Corps is the infantry. Everybody knows it's the guy on the ground, the individual rifleman who is on the pointy tip of the spear. Everybody else is in support, and that includes scout snipers. I was proud to be in support of those guys, and we belonged to them. We were part of the same battalion as them, and we knew them. We were friends with them, right? And but at any given time in throughout our history, there's never been more than 300 or 400 Marines on active duty that were scout snipers
Wow.
in the whole Marine Corps, not just assigned to a unit, but in the Marine Corps.
Right.
So you figure about 300 typically, and something that we just became aware of through our research. Now we're looking to identify everybody that served as a scout sniper going all the way back to World War One, and
Okay.
that's really hard. It's challenging because the Marine Corps never kept track. We've never been a primary MOS. It's always been just an additional duty or secondary MOS or whatever, depending on the time frame.
It does have an MOS designation though, right?
It did. It did.
Okay. Okay.
In World War II, it did. It was 761. They had a three-digit MOS code back then.
Okay.
And then in Vietnam, they came up with 8541. And then in the 90s, that's what I was. I was an 8541.
Okay.
And then somewhere in I think it was the early 2000s, they changed it to 0317. So it became an 03 MOS, but it was not a primary. It was still a secondary MOS, right? So if you were an 0311 or an 0331 or like me, an 0351, you could be an 0317, but that was just secondary.
Got
And
it. Okay.
so the Marine Corps can't tell you who was a scout sniper going back. They just can't. Um,
Wow.
and because of that, we're building a memorial to honor our fallen, right? we feel like we're honor bound to identify who among us is fallen, you know.
Exactly.
So
Right.
who is a scout sniper that was killed in action going all the way back? No one can tell us. You can look at the casualty roster, it's online for World War One, World War Two,
Okay.
but the Marine Corps casualty roster doesn't tell you if that guy was a scout sniper or not.
So how do you find them?
Good question. Lots of research, and it's painstaking. We've got about something like 2,800 names right now,
Okay.
total names of Marines who served as scout snipers. Um, we've added about 10 names to that list just since May. So it's kind of just trickling in. Out of those 10 since May that we've identified, three were killed in action that we didn't have any idea were part of our community that were killed in action.
Okay.
And out of those, several earned awards for valor. Um, and it's a really challenging thing. Our slogan is to remember the sacrifice and honor the legacy of Marine Scout snipers. Um, I was talking about our small numbers, 300 on active duty at any given time. There's no community in the United States military that has suffered 50% of their active duty population in killed in action.
Oh, wow.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, somebody
Right.
could
No,
correct
no.
me
I
if
didn't
I'm
know the
if I'm
number was
wrong.
that big. Okay.
But I know, Navy SEALs, for example, there's probably 6 or 8,000 of those guys on active duty right now.
Right.
Um, they their tally, they say they've lost 144 SEALs killed in action over the years. Right? That's just a small fraction of the 6 or 8,000 on active duty. It's a very tiny fraction,
Right.
and that's great. We don't want it to be more. I mean, obviously,
Exactly. Yep.
no, this isn't a competition. What I'm trying to do is illustrate the point that this little community of scout snipers has shed so much blood, um, and for its size, but yet there's not a memorial anywhere to honor those guys.
Wow.
And so we right now we're at 150 something killed in action out of 300 active duty population. We're at half. We're 50% of our active duty population has been killed in service to our nation. And that's astounding. Uh, Out of that tiny, tiny population group, we have at least three Medal of Honor recipients, one from World War one from World War II, both posthumous, and then another, Dakota Meyer, who's still living from the War on Terror.
Right.
Um, and that's 1% of our active duty population has earned the Medal of Honor. You know, there's a platoon that landed on Tarawa, Second Marine Regiment, led by Lieutenant William Dean Hawkins, who's a prior enlisted guy, fought on Guadalcanal as a sergeant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He attended Scout Sniper School at Camp Elliott, California, before they deployed, and he was, we think, part of the whaling group, which was kind of an experimental unit on Guadalcanal in 1942, led by Colonel Whaling then, that brought back the Scout Sniper concept. And at the same time, the effort back stateside was going on to formalize the program and stand up the schoolhouse. And William Hawkins he earned a battlefield commission on Guadalcanal. When they did R&R in Australia and New Zealand, they gave him the duty of forming a Scout Sniper platoon for 2nd Marines. And, oh, by the way, you're going to train your men. So for the next several months, he trained his guys. And they landed on Tarawa on BDO Pier. And I don't know how much you know about the Battle of Tarawa. It was one of the more vicious battles that we fought in the Pacific. It lasted 72 hours. But when we landed on that atoll, there was a 300-yard long pier sticking out from the beach
Okay.
that the Japanese had built pillboxes and machine gun nests and everything, gun emplacements on this pier. And from that pier, they could look straight down the beach and have wide open fields of fire just sweeping the beach when the
Wow.
landing forces would land. So this platoon of Scout Snipers was the initial assault element to take out those gun emplacements on the pier on early pre-landing hour.
Oh, man.
And anyway, William Hawkins was killed in action and earned the Medal of Honor posthumously on day 2. his platoon earned a Medal of Honor, a Navy Cross, and 15 Silver Stars.
Holy cow. Wow.
And everybody else got Bronze Stars. So
Wow.
it's like one platoon, right? So we talk about standing on the shoulders of giants, and the legacy of valor that we all inherit as Marines. This is just
Yeah, these stories need
unbelievable.
to get out there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're trying to
Wh-
uncover those stories.
I love it. I love it. Just on that Battle of Tarawa, where do they stage those snipers? Do you know?
Where did they stage them?
Yeah,
Uh,
because
you,
those guys
you,
were on the pier. Did they just put them on a hill or what?
yeah,
Any
I
idea?
still have yet to figure out how they actually got them onto the pier. I don't even know. I need to do
Yeah, I
more
was kind of
reading on
curious.
that.
It's like, okay, what
Yeah.
happened? All right,
I
awesome.
mean, they had to have landed under cover of darkness or something and just snuck up on the pier and started whacking Japanese. I don't know. It
My
was just,
gosh, that's
yeah, it's
incredible.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
you guys are building a monument, you said?
Yes, sir. Yep. We're
Okay.
building a memorial to honor our war dead.
Okay.
It's going to be a bronze sculpture that is going to be located at the National Museum of the Marine Corps at Quantico.
And you guys have a sketch on it on your website, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I
absolutely.
have it in my background here, so I was looking at it. Yeah,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
If you
Yeah.
check us out at scoutsniperheritage.org,
Okay.
you can see some conceptual drawings of the memorial. It's going to, the concept is basically what you see. This is sort of an outline of it.
Okay.
It's a World War I era observer who you see pointing at the target or towards the future, if you will. And the sniper who's seated is an Afghanistan era Marine
Oh,
uh,
wow.
carrying a modern sniper rifle, to represent the Afghanistan, which was our last combat deployment at Abbey Gate. And so the observer from World War One is kind of like the cake cutting ceremony during the birthday ball.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
oldest
Yep.
Marine present takes a bite of
Youngest
the
and oldest.
cake,
Yeah.
and meanwhile the narrator is telling you that, hey, this symbolizes the passing of knowledge and experience from one generation of Marines to the next. And we wanted to figure out a way to visually, you know, pass this, kind of symbolize the same thing for our
Okay.
community. And that's what these two generations of Marines in the sculpture represent the bookends of our history, the origin story and the end.
I love it. That's a great concept.
Yeah,
That was a great way that he designed it.
yeah.
Uh, what's so how long has the foundation been around?
So we formed our board of directors March of last year.
Also, just
So it's
recently.
been
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been just about a year and a half.
Okay.
So we're really still in the beginning stages of our sort of corporate effort and fundraising effort. None of us are professionals, man. We're all volunteers. We don't have a paid fundraiser. We don't have a paid executive director or anything like that. We're
Okay.
just a bunch of guys who served as scout snipers at some point, and we're fortunate to be a part of that community. Um, I'm not one of them, but we have guys on our board of directors whose names you'll probably never hear unless you look us up on our website, who lost teammates in Iraq, lost teammates in Afghanistan. Um, and for them, this is a labor of love, to honor those Marines, to honor the units that fought alongside them, to honor the families who survived and who have no place to go to remember their husband, father, brother, uncle, whatever, um, and remember him as the scout sniper that he was.
That's
They don't have a touchstone to go to. Um, you know, if you're my brother was a Marine aviator, my dad was
okay.
an aviator, but at the end of the day, when they came home from work, they were an aviator, you know. I mean, my brother was
Exactly. Yeah.
proud to be a Marine, but everybody knew he was an aviator. And
Right.
it's the same way, nothing wrong with that. It's the same way in the scout sniper community. If you go to a recon family, daddy comes home at the end of the day. My daddy's a recon Marine.
Right. Exactly. Well, you know what? You did above and beyond training, and that most people don't
Yeah,
do. So you want to be
it's
proud of that and share that, right? So I don't
yeah, it's
blame
a
you.
it's a it's a tight knit community, and we're
Right.
proud of our service. We're proud of being a Marine, and we're proud of supporting Marines.
Nice.
And uh, we feel like it's past time. We have a 105-year history, um, and no one has ever recognized the fallen from our community in that way, and we just feel like it's time.
That's awesome. And do you guys have a goal when that it's going to be built?
Well, the timeline is dependent on the fundraising. The fundraising goal is 2 million in total uh,
Okay.
for the whole thing. We have a sculptor who we're not officially partnered with yet, but we want to be, and he wants to be.
Okay.
We've got to be able to pay him. His name is
Exactly.
Saban Howard. Saban is a fantastic man, a phenomenally gifted sculptor. He created what's called a soldier's story, which is the centerpiece of the National World War I Memorial in DC. So if you've ever been there, they just unveiled it September of last year.
Okay.
Finally, a century after World War One, they finally unveiled a World War One memorial.
Wow.
He created the centerpiece sculpture of that thing.
Okay.
So I encourage your viewers to look it up. Um, you can see pictures of it on the National Park Service's website, also on the World War One Commission's website. But it's called A Soldier's Story, and it's just fantastic. It's 58 feet long, it's 10 feet high, and it's like a wall, but it's got 38 human figures in front of it,
Oh,
and it
wow.
tells a story from left to right. And you see the figures as a family is being separated. Dad is in uniform, getting ready to leave home. Mom standing dutifully with her hand on his shoulder, and his daughter's handing him this doughboy helmet. And then the next figure is mom turning around and grasping dad's sleeve as he marches off to war, like, I don't want you to go, but he's got to go. And then they go into the training, and then they go into, he's overseas, he's fighting, and then there's the combat scenes. And then there's the aftermath of the combat with guys with blindfolds and, suffering, trying
Wow.
to grope around in the darkness from being blinded by gas, and the nurses on the battlefield and the 1,000-yard stairs.
Talk about talent. That
Oh
that
my
tells a
gosh.
that tells a huge story. I haven't seen. I'm gonna look it up. I haven't been to DC in about 10 years, but I'm gonna look it
Oh
up when we're
gosh,
done
yeah.
here.
Saban Howard is so gifted. But yeah, it tells this whole story all the way through coming home. And anyway, he wants to do ours, but
That's
we gotta
awesome.
get it. We gotta get him a
A-
down payment.
And how do people donate to your cause?
Absolutely. So our website is scoutsniperheritage.org.
Okay.
We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. And you can go on there and hit the donate button. We have a brick paver purchasing program where if you buy a brick paver and you can put whatever 3 lines of text you want to honor somebody in your family that may be served, or maybe you just want to say, hey, we're the Smith family, we love Scout Snipers, whatever. And that brick will be placed at the side of the memorial when construction begins. We have other ways to help. We've got a raffle that's ongoing right now, raffling off a rifle for the first place prize package, and a really nice
Sniper rifle?
quality. Yeah, it's an actual M48-6 sniper rifle and all
Nice.
the kit. It's a $30,000 package. It's
Holy
pretty
cow.
impressive.
Wow.
Yeah. And the second place prize isn't too shabby. It's a Cornwell Quality Tools tool chest,
Okay.
and that's like a $2,800 tool chest. Um, so I would say, if you have viewers that want to help us in ways other than just stroking a check or hitting the donate button or buying a raffle ticket, please reach out to us. Reach out to me. Yeah, please feel free to post my email on the.
Okay. Perfect. I was going to ask you
Thing.
that next. So perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not well connected. I don't know influential people. I don't know a lot of philanthropic folks. Um, and I don't know a lot of folks who know those kinds of people. And we need somebody to host a gala event for us. I can run the event. I can do the
Okay.
logistics and put it together. I can
Got
run
it.
a range day. I can do a gala black tie. I can set up a backyard barbecue. I can set up any kind of an event that you want to do, and I can make it happen. What I can't do is fill the room with the right people to make it worth our while to help further the cause.
Got
So,
it.
so if you're well connected, if you know business leaders in your community, or if folks who quite frankly just have money, anybody who's influential, an entertainer, movie star, we're trying to get Mark Wahlberg. He played in the movie Shooter. He
Oh,
played
oh,
Marine
that's
Scout
right. Yeah.
Sniper, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get a hold of
Have you guys
Mark.
reached out to him?
I don't know how. How do you
Okay.
reach out to Mark Wahlberg, right? I mean, how do
Yeah.
you find
Yeah.
there's Rob Riggle.
Yep.
retired Marine officer who's a comedian. I'd love to talk to Rob Riggle. He's actually from where I enlisted in the Marine Corps in Overland Park, Kansas. He's from there.
That's right. He's from there too. I forgot
Yep,
about that.
sure
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Wow.
So, these kinds of connections we would love if people can help us make those connections.
Okay.
But we need to get Saban Howard on contract so that he can go to work for us. He's very in demand. There are other larger projects looming that he is going to need to jump into soon if we don't get him to work. And we'll lose him, and then we'll have to go with someone else. But we've got kind of a dream team put together. We've got a great concept. This is the right time for this memorial project. And it's not just about the memorial. We're about historic preservation, and we're about education. We're going to write the first and only comprehensive history of Marine Scout snipers that's ever been written. We're going to do a separate volume for each conflict period from World War I all the way to the present day.
Wow.
We have enough material already. We just need to get it sorted through and figure out how to arrange it all. But personal stories of scout snipers from World War I who won a Navy Cross, a Distinguished Service Cross, and 5 Silver Stars. Went to France as a private, came back as a gunnery sergeant. I mean,
Wow.
these are our forebears. These are the guys on whose shoulders we stand. You know, and we want to tell their stories. Nobody knows who they are.
But yeah, these are awesome stories. The other thing I was going to mention too, if the audience is listening, if you have friends or family that were snipers, right?
Yes.
Reach out to Tim on the email and let him know, because they're doing their due diligence to try to get all the right people that did served as a scout sniper. And
that's a key thing, really, because just being able to identify everybody, even if you think you have a relative from back in Korea, World War II, whatever, Vietnam,
right.
that you think they said something about being a sniper, maybe, or whatever, check with us. We'll help you do the research. And even if it doesn't work out that was the case, that's okay. But we'd love to talk to folks, and we'd love to get the stories from families of what they knew of their ancestor. That would be fantastic.
And for the audience that's not aware of it, in the Marine Corps, they have a SRB service record book.
Yes.
That puts your MOS and your job duties in there. Obviously, back in the day, nothing was digital, right? So I'm sure that's one of the challenges that the foundation's having. So, word of mouth is sometimes better. If they could reach out to Tim and send him an email, that would be awesome. So,
yep.
All right, perfect. Well, almost getting ready to wrap up here, Tim. Anything else you want to add? I got a couple more questions here. Anything I missed so far?
No, I think you're doing a good job covering it all.
Awesome. What's one part of your story the world needs to hear that you haven't talked about or talked about in any other podcast that you've been on?
Part of my story. Oh gosh. I don't look at myself. I don't view myself as being anything remarkable or having accomplished anything, particularly remarkable. I've been blessed to have a lot of good people in my life. A lot of people who make the things that I do and pursue possible. And I think, if I could pass anything along, aside from that foundational faith in Jesus and really surrendering to that and allowing that to be the core that everything else stems from. I think the only other thing that I would say is that I've just been really, really blessed with the people in my life. My family, obviously, but the guys I serve with on the board of directors at the Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation. And prior to that, I was on the board of directors at the Scout Sniper Association.
Oh, we forgot to talk about that.
For 6 years. Yeah. And
so you guys are affiliated. What's that foundation do?
Yeah. So the Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation, which I'm the founding president of currently, we are a legal subsidiary of the USMC Scout Sniper Association. Scout Sniper Association has been around since 1998. It's been some time, and it was founded by Scout Snipers for Scout Snipers. It's the membership organization for guys like us.
Okay.
So if you want to join, an affinity club, as a Scout Sniper, you join the USMC Scout Sniper Association. And the primarily, the association takes care of our brothers and their families. And so that's what they do. They do camaraderie events. They have an athletics program to get out and stay active, which is awesome. They have a competitive shooting program, all sorts of different things. But one of the most important is that we have always been there for our brothers and their families in times of need, hardship, struggles, whatever may be happening. And there's really no limit to that. And there's, obviously, I mean, there are limits, but there's no like limit by rules. It's to whatever capacity they have to give, they'll give, if they have it to give.
That's awesome.
So that's what the Scout Sniper Association does. And when I was the president over there a couple of years ago, we a bunch of us, all decided that this Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation was something that needed to happen, but we knew that we didn't have time to do it. We're all volunteers again, and so we needed to form a separate organization with its own board of directors and its own leadership to be able to manage that work.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Perfect. I'll put both links on the podcast for sure.
Yeah. So they're at scoutsniper.org.
Okay. Perfect.
And we're at scoutsniperheritage.org.
Okay. Awesome.
Yep.
And if you were 20 years old today, we talked about this a little while ago, but you didn't elaborate. What kind of path would you have taken now, whether it was military or not?
Well, 20 years ago, I was.
Then when you were 20 years old, I'm sorry, when you were 20 years old, if you were
when I was 20 years old,
right,
gosh,
if you had all the knowledge you have now,
I would have just followed Jesus sooner and
okay.
let that dictate. I could second guess past decisions and say I would take a different path this way, that way.
But that was the more important to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't think any of those decisions would have made a difference. I think where I'm at in life is right where I need to be.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just elaborate before you're mentioning you don't think you're a big deal. I think you're a big deal.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a lot of great stuff, and like when we're starting that Navy SEALs talking about everyone's a hero. I think you're a hero as well. So
thanks. I appreciate that, but it's really I'm just trying to shine a light on a bunch of guys who truly are. So,
right, exactly, and that's our mission, right? Shine the light, which is good.
That's it.
What's the best advice a mentor ever gave you in either in life, leadership, or business?
Stop talking and listen.
Shut the pie hole.
That's it. Yeah. You see, just talking to me, when I get on a roll, I get on a roll, and sometimes I just need to just shut up and listen.
No, it's good. I think that's what this is about, right? Is to get the word out there, create awareness, try to get some funding, right, and connect people. That's what we're trying to do every day. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and post your email. I'm going to post the websites. Anything else you want me to post on here when we post the podcast?
Well, if this posts pretty soon, you might just want to give a shout out about the VFW National Convention, which is happening this weekend. I'll be up there in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. Yeah, if you could send that to me, just text it to me or email it to me. I'll put it on some of the shorts. I'm not going to publish the actual podcast till Sunday, but I'll put it on some of the shorts. So go ahead. I'm sorry, it's on the 12th. What you said? VFW convention, and where's it at?
VFW National Convention, the 8th through the 12th in Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. Okay.
We'll be in booth 227.
Okay, awesome. So do you do a lot of conventions or no?
Yeah. We went to the NRA annual meeting down in Atlanta. We did the Modern Day Marine Expo in DC. Try to get to as many of those kinds of things as I can. In September, we'll be in Virginia Beach doing the Neptune Festival. It's a big outdoor event. There's like 500,000 people show up to this thing on the boardwalk in Virginia Beach, and we got a tent space for that in September.
What's that all about? The Neptune event?
It's just it's the Virginia Beach Neptune Festival. It's just a big community event, and they have a nonprofit area
Okay.
where you can set up. And
Okay. I didn't know if it was just all military. Okay. Got it.
yeah, no,
Okay.
it's
Perfect.
a
Perfect.
big public event.
Awesome. All right, Tim. I'm going to wrap up. Any final words before I start closing out?
No, just I really want to thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and yeah, just if I can ever be of service, let me know.
Yeah, I'm really glad we connected. Definitely, whatever I could do to help in the future too. And I think you mentioned a couple of people, and I'll try to connect you with some people as well that might be able to help. So definitely do what we
Yeah,
can.
well, I
Tim,
got
it's been an absolute honor having you on today. Thank you for your sacrifice, your leadership, and your example. You continue to serve with the Scout Sniper Heritage Foundation and also sharing the word of God. So I really appreciate that.
brother.
Uh,
Thank you.
for everyone tuning in, if this conversation moved you, share it. Don't just listen to it. Amplify it. These stories need to be heard. These lessons can save lives and help others. Stay focused, stay winning. God bless you, and thank you for listening.